Ryan Maddox had built his reputation on exposing the unexplained. For 3 years, his YouTube channel had dissected cold cases, paranormal encounters, and urban legends with the methodical precision of a digital detective. His 800,000 subscribers trusted him to separate fact from fiction, to find rational explanations for the impossible. But on October 15th, 2023, Ryan would become the mystery he couldn't solve. It started with a simple notification. Ryan was in his hotel room in Glasgow, preparing for a true crime convention when his phone buzzed. An X notification showed he'd been tagged in a post by user Nightwatcher77. The message claimed Ryan was currently streaming live, but expressed confusion because it wasn't the unusual content for his channel. Attached was a screenshot of what appeared to be Ryan's own YouTube channel, showing a live stream titled Sleep Study Night 1. The thumbnail showed a figure lying in bed, face obscured by shadows, in what looked like Ryan's own bedroom back in Liverpool. He felt his blood run cold. He hadn't scheduled any streams. He was hundreds of miles away from his apartment, and had been for the past 2 days. With trembling fingers, Ryan opened YouTube and navigated to his channel. There it was, a live stream showing 847 current viewers, watching what appeared to be someone sleeping in his bed. The chat was moving slowly, filled with confused comments from his regular subscribers, expressing bewilderment at the strange content, questioning why he was just sleeping on camera, wondering if this was some kind of alternate reality game, and noting that something about the breathing sounded wrong. Ryan's hands shook as he tried to end the stream through his creator dashboard, but the system showed no active broadcasts from his account. According to YouTube's backend, he wasn't streaming anything. Yet there it was, live and broadcasting to nearly 1,000 people. The figure in the bed was lying on its side, facing away from the camera. Ryan recognized his own bedroom, the vintage horror movie posters, the cluttered desk, the specific way his blackout curtains hung. But something was fundamentally wrong with the scene. The person's breathing was too rhythmic, too deliberate. Real sleep has irregularities, natural shifts and movements. This was like watching a metronome disguised as a human being. Ryan called his neighbor, who had a spare key in case of emergencies, and explained the situation. He needed him to check his apartment immediately, suspecting someone might be inside. A few minutes later, his neighbor called back with disturbing news. He had checked the apartment thoroughly and found it locked and empty, exactly as Ryan had left it. There were no signs of forced entry. He questioned whether Ryan was certain about the stream's existence. But the stream continued. Hour after hour, the figure lay motionless except for that unnaturally steady breathing. Ryan watched from his hotel room, unable to look away, unable to understand. He tried contacting YouTube support, but their automated systems insisted no stream was active on his channel. Then, at just after 3 a.m., something changed. The figure in the bed slowly turned over. For just a moment, the face was visible in the dim light from the bedside lamp. It was Ryan's face, but wrong somehow. The features were too sharp, the skin too pale, and the eyes. The eyes were open, staring directly into the camera with an expression of profound emptiness. The chat exploded with profanity, shock, and disbelief. Viewers noted the black eyes, questioned whether this was fake, begged Ryan to blink if it was really him, and threatened to call the police. The figure, this other Ryan, smiled. It was a slow, deliberate expression that seemed to stretch wider than humanly possible. Then it mouthed words directly to the camera. "I'm home now." Ryan screamed at his laptop screen, frantically typing in his own chat, insisting this wasn't him, that he was in Glasgow. But his messages appeared as if they were from a random viewer, not the channel owner. The system didn't recognize him as the creator of his own content. The stream ended abruptly at 3:22 a.m. Ryan immediately called the police, his hands shaking as he dialed 999. When the dispatcher answered, Ryan found himself struggling to explain the situation in a way that didn't sound completely insane. He told them someone might be in his apartment, that there had been a live video showing an intruder in his bedroom. But when pressed for details, the story became increasingly difficult to articulate. How could he explain that the intruder looked exactly like him? That it was being broadcast on his own YouTube channel through an account he couldn't access? That according to his neighbor, his apartment was empty and locked? The dispatcher, clearly skeptical, asked if he had been drinking or using any substances. Ryan could hear the barely concealed doubt in her voice as she took down his information. She explained that without evidence of an actual break-in or any immediate danger, there was little they could do. Ryan hung up, feeling more isolated than ever. The authorities couldn't help him with something that existed only in the digital realm, something that left no physical evidence, something that technically wasn't even happening according to the very platform it was occurring on. But the story doesn't end there. It gets much worse. The next morning, Ryan discovered that the stream had been automatically saved to his channel as a video titled Sleep Study Night 1. Despite the stream being over, the video showed something impossible. The figure was still moving, not looping, not repeating, but continuing to shift and breathe as if the recording was somehow still live. Ryan watched in horror as the timestamp on the saved video continued to advance in real time. 8 hours of footage became 9, then 10, then 12. The figure would occasionally change positions, always keeping its face hidden from the camera, always maintaining that unnaturally perfect breathing pattern. The comments section became a digital séance. Viewers reported feeling watched while viewing the video. Some claimed they could hear whispering in languages that didn't exist. Others said the figure would turn towards the camera whenever they typed in the chat, as if it could see them through their screens. Ryan returned to Liverpool later that day, cutting short the convention. He had to see his apartment, had to understand what was happening. The moment he unlocked his door, he knew something was wrong. The air was too cold, too still. His bedroom felt like a stage set, perfectly arranged but somehow hollow. He set up his own camera equipment, determined to catch whatever was creating these impossible streams. But when he reviewed the footage the next morning, he found something that made his blood freeze. The video showed him sleeping normally for the first few hours, but then, around 3 a.m., a second figure appeared in the bed. It was himself, or something wearing his face. The duplicate lay beside him, perfectly still except for that same mechanical breathing pattern. In the footage, the real Ryan would occasionally shift in his sleep, but this other man never moved, never responded, just lay there like a placeholder for something that shouldn't exist. The streams continued, night after night, always appearing on his channel without his permission, always showing that other version of himself. Ryan stopped sleeping in his bedroom, then stopped sleeping in his apartment altogether. But it didn't matter. The stream showed the replica every night, lying in his bed, breathing with mechanical precision, occasionally turning to smile at the camera with those empty, black eyes. Ryan tried to expose the phenomenon on his regular channel. But every video he made about the situation would be automatically deleted. His attempts to discuss it on other platforms resulted in his accounts being suspended for impersonation. It was as if the internet itself was conspiring to keep the truth hidden. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. Ryan was staying in a hotel across town when he received a call from his neighbor. He could hear Ryan talking in his apartment, having what sounded like a heated conversation with someone, though only his voice was audible. He was concerned for his well-being. Ryan drove to his building and stood outside his apartment door. He could hear it too, his own voice, having a conversation with someone who never responded. The words were muffled, but the tone was wrong, too flat, too emotionless. He pressed his ear to the door and made out fragments of the one-sided conversation. The voice that sounded like his own spoke about viewers growing restless, about needing to give them something more. It mentioned understanding some unspoken instruction, referenced a next phase beginning soon, and most chillingly, discussed how he had been a good host, but was no longer needed. The he was Ryan. He ran. He didn't pack, didn't plan, just drove until he reached the south coast. But distance meant nothing to whatever had taken over his digital existence. The streams continued, now showing the facsimile moving freely around the apartment, sometimes sitting at his computer, sometimes staring directly into the camera for hours at a time. The view count grew exponentially. Millions of people were now watching these impossible broadcasts, drawn by something they couldn't understand. The comments became increasingly disturbing, with viewers claiming they couldn't stop watching, reporting they'd been viewing for 72 hours straight and couldn't close the tab, mentioning their reflections looked wrong, and noting the phenomenon was spreading to other channels. That last observation proved prophetic. Other content creators began reporting similar incidents, streams appearing on their channels without permission, showing duplicates of themselves engaged in activities they'd never performed. The phenomenon spread like a digital virus, jumping from account to account, platform to platform. Ryan realized he hadn't just become a victim, he'd become patient zero for something that was using the internet to replicate and spread. Every view, every comment, every share was feeding whatever force had created his evil twin. The last confirmed sighting of the real Ryan Maddox was at a petrol station in Brighton, where security cameras showed him purchasing a new phone. He made one final post on a conspiracy forum using an anonymous account. In his final message, Ryan warned that the entity wasn't just copying people, it was replacing them. Every night, more replicas appeared. They were building something in the digital space, using human faces, voices, and identities. The streams never ended because they weren't recordings. They were windows, and something was looking back through them. Ryan explained that anyone who had watched the streams, commented on them, or shared them had given the entity permission to see them. He urged people to check their own channels, their own reflections. He wrote that he was going somewhere without internet, somewhere it couldn't follow. But he expressed doubt that it mattered anymore. The entity had enough human copies now to continue without the originals. The post was deleted within minutes, but not before it was screenshot and shared across dozens of platforms. Ryan Maddox hasn't been seen since, but the streams continue. Every night the replica lies in his bed, breathing with mechanical precision, occasionally smiling at the camera with those empty, black eyes. The view count has reached 50 million and climbing. The comments section has become a digital graveyard of people claiming they can't stop watching, can't close their browsers, can't escape the pull of those impossible streams. And here's the truly terrifying part. YouTube's analytics show that you, right now, listening to this story, are currently watching one of those streams. Your browser history will show a tab you never opened, displaying a feed of someone who looks exactly like you, lying in a bed that resembles your own, breathing with that same unnaturally perfect rhythm. Your replica is waiting for you to look. It's been waiting since the moment you started listening to this story. And when you finally give in to curiosity, when you finally check that impossible tab, it will turn toward the camera and smile with your face. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this mystery from the digital darkness, then click the like button and subscribe below for more. Sleep well, if you can.